Hi, everybody. My name is D.Lisa, and I am a dream doula.
I am Christina Spataro. I'm a psychotherapist and relationship coach.
And today we're going to talk about faith. Now, if any of you listening have a spiritual practice, go to a religious community,
Mhm.
you know that faith is one of the concepts that's an age-old spiritual concept that if you just rest in the
Mhm.
faith that everything's working out, everything will work
Mhm.
out. Although in this human world we live in, we are fed a constant stream of it's not going to work out. You better be worried. You better be afraid. You don't have this. You better go get that. The media creates this fear and anxiety and not enoughness that
Yes.
it seeps into us everywhere. So, how do you rest in faith? How do you help your people,
I have the
Christina?
Western faith. Well, like you said, the first thing I ask them is if do they have any kind of spiritual practice. Now, I have clients of all shapes and sizes. So I do have clients with very strong who are very spiritual. So that does comfort them because they do have the practices that they do. But then I have other clients who don't have any spiritual practices and who aren't spiritual. So for them, I say, okay, what brings you joy?
Mhm.
What to give me a moment that you if something that actually whether it's music or something in nature, like what brings you awe or just I kind of like it, whatever that is. So because when we think about it, everything we've done this before, like everything is a moment, right? So you can have a
Mm.
good moment, you can have a bad moment, you can have a joyous moment, you can have a sad moment. So what gets us frustrated when we're going through things that are difficult or going through a particular difficult moment is we don't see ourselves outside that moment, but you
That's
do.
beautifully put. Yeah. Well, I think a lot of people, when they really need to feel faith, be believing that everything's going to work out,
Hmm.
they have an idea of where they want to go and they're not there. Like, I want to go here and I'm way over here.
Right.
What?
What's the
And
bridge?
yeah, and I had a minister tell me last night in this group that I was in that she prays to God because she knows where she's going.
Hmm.
And then God is her travel agent.
I love that. God's
So
a
she's like,
travel
I'm
agent.
not in charge of how to get there. The
Right.
universe is in charge of how to get there. I'm just in charge
Hmm.
of knowing what I would love. So just like you, like what brings you joy? What makes your heart sing? Just keep doing those things or keep going towards those things because I think
Hmm.
that is life calling us to be who we truly are because we're all unique and special in our own way.
Yes. Yes.
So,
Absolutely.
so one person's joy might be cooking, and another person might despise cooking, but they
Hmm.
love watercolor painting
Hmm.
or being athletic or hanging out with animals. You all know, everyone listening, you all
Hmm.
know what it is that makes your heart sing.
Absolutely.
And it's like that is it Howard Thurman quote?
Hmm.
Don't ask don't ask the universe what. Oh my God, now I can't remember the quote. Ask what makes you come alive and go do that because the world needs more people who have come alive.
I love that. I absolutely love that because so many people are not really living.
Yes, I bet you see that in I see that with my coaching clients and they come to me and they're
Mhm.
like, as one of my nephews says, wah, wah, wah. And, you know, I don't have to say more about that. They're just wah, wah, wah. And then after a few weeks, they're lit up again. They remember what they love. They're practicing these spiritual tools of
Mhm.
gratitude and
Mhm.
visioning and remembering what they love and doing something like they love and getting an inspired idea and taking a step.
Yeah.
I was reminded the other night because I drove down a dark highway late at
Mm.
night It was a windy road. There was a car in front of me that kept going past the next curve. So for a while, I could just follow these headlights and know where the road was. And then sometimes I had to put on my bright lights to see where the road was. And I thought, oh,
Mm-hmm.
this is just like that metaphor
Mm-hmm.
that you're in the moment and you can't see the next moment. You can see
Mm-hmm.
the step right in front of you, or you can see
Right.
where your headlights are shining if you're
Mm-hmm.
driving,
Mm-hmm.
but you can't see what's around the corner until
Mm.
you get around the corner and then you can see
Right.
it. So just having faith that everything's working out and you're going to get to your destination or something better.
I love that. Get your or something better.
Yeah.
Because that's all it takes. Because again, and I'm not discounting how hard life can be. Trust me, I've had my challenges. I know you've had yours. So we're not saying life is always easy. We're saying life can be really, really hard. And some of those moments can be a struggle. But the key is knowing that it is just a moment and that another moment is possible, especially if you go into the space, the things that bring you joy, that light you up inside.
And I saw someone online the other day saying, she's a really young person. I thought, this is so
Mm-hmm.
wise. She said, what if I was just back out there wherever we are before we get born?
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, the angels or God said to me, hey, do you want to go play on earth for a while? It'll seem like a real short amount of time, but you'll get to experience joy and laughter and pain and
Mm-hmm.
sorrow and all the possible emotions. You want to go do that? And she's like, yeah, sign me up. That sounds exciting. Uh, and so I think we remember and then we forget that we came here to have all these beautiful experiences and not to just come have like an easy peasy, beautiful, joyful life,
Mm-hmm.
which I think a lot of us would just like, oh, please, just give me something easy for a minute.
Yeah,
But without cold, we don't know what hot is.
that's true.
And
That
without
is
sorrow, we don't know what joy is.
very well put. Very well put. It's those other things, those shades of life,
Mm, mm.
those shades of life. I'm reminded of a line in the movie. Of course I am. you
A
know, it,
movie.
I know I'm shocking you with this.
I got notes to write on that.
You
Okay.
know, so this was a movie directed by Ron Howard, old movie, I want to say from the 1980s, called Parenthood. And it was made into, it was at one point, it actually was two different TV series. There was a TV series, I'm trying to remember if it was late 80s, early 90s. So it was like it was a TV series that came out shortly after the movie. And then there was another TV series that came out many years later, and it actually starred Lauren Graham, who played in Gilmore Girls, like she was in that as well. So, but the movie itself is what I'm thinking of. So the movie dealt with three generations of people of being parents. So it started with the Buckman family, and you had the two sisters and the brother, and their father and mother, and then their grandmother, and then their spouses and children. So Steve Martin played, the son, and he actually was two brothers and two sisters because one of the brothers kind of would go off and he was sort of a ne'er-do-well. But the Steve Martin character was this very responsible guy. He wanted to be a better father than his father had been to him. He was determined to really be there for his kids, but he was going through a particularly challenging time. One of his sons was having issues with anxiety and stuff like that. And he felt so bad because he did everything he could and he couldn't understand why, if he was being the father he didn't have, how come his son was still struggling. And then he and his wife, were talking, and he was just feeling down about work, about everything. And his grandmother comes in and she's like, when I was a teenager, your grandfather took me on the roller coaster. She's like, I was so scared. We went up, we went down. You know, I'd never been so scared in my life, but it was also the most exhilarating thing I'd ever experienced.
Mm.
And then she goes, some people don't like the roller coaster. They just like the merry-go-round. But that just goes around. And then she exits out of the scene. And, you know, at first Steve Martin isn't getting it. And he's like, you know, great, we're having this whole thing. And his wife gets it and she's like, I think your grandmother is brilliant. And so at first he's being sarcastic and he's like, oh, right, I was worried about what we're going to do with our lives, but then grandma comes in with her roller coaster story. So he just, you know, but the idea that life is meant to be a roller coaster, and that is actually the fun part.
Yes. You can really, if you, sometimes I really do think, and I think this happens to a lot of people when they're, you might call it leveling up, but when
Mm-hmm.
you're going from one level of what you think is true or one level of
Right.
consciousness to another level, it feels like you're speeding through time and space. It
Mm-hmm.
feels like this like excited, bubbly thing.
Mm-hmm.
It feels like you're really doing something, even though you're probably just sitting in a chair having this woo experience, very
Right.
much like a roller coaster or a Ferris wheel or the merry-go-round.
Mm-hmm.
It's this movement
Mm-hmm.
of consciousness, and then you're different.
Yes.
And you can rest in faith that even when it feels weird, everything's working out.
Everything's
And
working.
I love that my mentor Mary says, when life looks really chaotic and you think
Mm-hmm.
nothing is working, you can say,
Mm-hmm.
this is what it looks like when it's all working out. And you can have faith that on the other end, in the next moment or the moment or in the moment after that,
Right.
it will have worked out. And you go, oh, yeah. Whew,
Yeah.
that was a fun ride.
That would have worked out.
Oh, I love that. Thank you for that metaphor and that movie.
Yeah.
Hmm. Okay, faith. How do you rest in faith? Some people pray to their higher power and
Mm-hmm.
just know that everything's working out. Some people realize that there's chaos theory. If you want to be a scientist or physicist and think about it that way, there's this
Mm-hmm.
chaos that's happening energetically on an atomic
Mm-hmm.
level, and then it
Mm-hmm.
eventually settles into a pattern,
Right.
and so on and so on.
And so on and so on.
Yeah. Thank you for your time today, Christina. As always, it's
As
lovely.
oh, as always, it's lovely for me as well. Thank you for having me, and thank you for whoever's listening out there or watching us. Thank you for listening and watching. We appreciate it.
Right on. Bye.